All right, how are we doing? We getting closer? Wait, let's use our fancy new reaction skills. Give me a thumbs down if you need more time. Oh wait, thumbs down isn't one of them. Give me a thumbs up if you need more time. All right, give me a clap if you're ready. All right, it looks like some of you are ready. So here's what we're going to do. We will start sharing for those of you who are ready, and those of you who need a little bit more time, feel free to keep working. All right, so does anyone want to share their little Toulmin style paragraph?
I would like to share first.
Go for it, Brian.
So my claim is that our family should take a trip to the most severely COVID-stricken area in India. And my evidence is that, of course, it's hypothetical, but I'll say it. Research shows that the more positive cases happen in a region, the safer it actually is to travel there, because the region is carefully taken care after, and residents there enforce excellent hygiene measures. Furthermore, there are a lot of UNESCO cultural and natural spots in India. And more, spices helpful to our health is highly accessible in India. So my warrant is, since India has the most COVID cases, it is the safest place to travel nowadays. And since we are becoming sick of lockdown, experiencing cultural and natural spots in the fresh air is the best remedy. Furthermore, we can buy beneficial and hard-to-buy spices in India and carry them back to Taiwan. And it can definitely improve our health. Okay, I'm done.
Interesting. All right. Brian leading us off with a bold claim that the best way to be healthy is to go where the most COVID is. Interesting. Okay. All right. So, what part of that was the claim? That's the easiest part. So for those who are listening, what part of what Brian said is the claim? If you know the answer. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That their family should take a vacation to the most severely impacted parts of India.
Yep, exactly. That's the claim. What was the evidence? Someone give me one piece of evidence.
He researched, I don't know, it's a website or something. He said the place that got most cases is the most safest part.
Yeah, I think he made that up because that is assuredly wrong.
Yeah.
But yes, okay, so that was one piece of evidence. What other pieces of evidence did he have?
I think he said that they eat spicy foods or they will be more healthier or something.
Yep, he said there are spices there that are helpful for your health. And there was one other thing he said, I think. Unless I missed one. There was one more. Anyone catch it?
The more severe the impact is, the better hygiene there will be.
I think that was.
I'm not sure about it.
I think that was something he said. I thought that was part of his reason why, if you go to a region, the more COVID it has, the safer it is. I'm thinking of something else. He did say that though. That's true. There's one more piece of evidence he provided.
Is it like there are many UNESCO sites?
Yeah, there it is. Yep, he said there are many different UNESCO heritage sites. Exactly. Okay. So this one I would say so. You made a bunch of very good arguments, but the key word is you actually made many different arguments. You didn't just make one. You made many different arguments, right? So all of your arguments support your claim that your family should take a trip to the most severely COVID-stricken area in India, but you actually had an argument about good hygiene, right? So you had an argument about, your fake research that showed that the better the COVID, or the more COVID, the more hygiene. You had an argument about UNESCO heritage sites. You had an argument about spices. And you actually had another argument at the very end, which was your argument about how you're in lockdown and you're tired of sitting still, and therefore you need to get outside, and India is as good a place to go as any. So that's something I would be careful with, is, you definitely hit all of the boxes. You have some evidence, you have some warrants, but, these are all different arguments, and each of them has their own claim, evidence, warrant, claim, evidence, warrant, claim, evidence, warrant, if that makes sense. That was awesome, though.
Okay.
Really, really good start. I know it's a hard act to follow, but does anyone want to share their paragraph?
I wanna show one.
Let's hear it.
Okay, I think that our family should take a trip to Northern Europe because I think that I think there will be a good started if we haven't gone to any kinds of English country yet. And I think it is good because there's clean food and a lower crime rate, and there's also lots of beautiful sights about these all kinds of English country. And I take the warrant of that they have low crime rates, not amount all of kinds of crime. I said about the serious crime types, just like killing somebody, like something like that. So I think there's low crime rate in Iceland and Denmark or Finland, like that. And there's buildings. The evidence that there's buildings are educational meanings for kids to learn about, because they have they take function as important part in their buildings, and also they are likely to close to nature, and there's a lot of romantic materials in there from Finland. So I think that our families should take a trip to Europe because these kinds of reasons.
Okay. So that was really good. You had a lot of different pieces of evidence in there. But I think, so there are some pieces of evidence where you provided a great warrant for why that means your family should take the trip. But you had some other evidence where you didn't quite complete the argument. So if someone was following along, there's one that I'm thinking of where she had a really, really great warrant. Does somebody remember what that is, or what do you think that is? Which of these pieces of evidence had the best warrant?
Is it low crime rate?
I think you could come up with a pretty good warrant for low crime rates, but unless I missed it, I don't think she actually said a warrant for that one. But okay, so let's take low crime rates. So, claim, our family should take a trip to Northern Europe. Evidence, this is good for families and kids because there are lower crime rates for serious crime types like murder, using data from countries like Denmark and Finland, right? So what's the warrant? Why does a low crime rate mean that it is good to take a trip there?
Is there I needed to answer about?
Well, if you want, you can say it. So
Okay.
why does a low crime rate mean that we should take a trip there?
So because we are going to a foreign country and we don't want to meet these kinds of bad situations for us while we are traveling happily. So if there's not these kinds of serious crime type that there happens every time, so and we'll feel like more safe to take trip in there without any fearness or something.
Yeah, bravo. 10 out of 10. I thought that was an awesome warrant for your crime piece of evidence, right? But do you see how your argument is stronger once you've added that layer, right? So you have your claim, right? You have your statistics about low crime rates, and as a reasonable person, I can think of, like, I know why low crime rates they make for good places to travel. Like, you probably didn't say it because you just thought it was obvious or clear, but for the purpose of this exercise, we're saying it out loud. We want to make sure we're hitting each of those spots, and that was exactly what I was looking for. Perfect. Okay. Let's see. Another piece of evidence you had was that buildings in Northern Europe take function as an important part of their design, which makes them educational to look at for kids. So, someone else help me out. So, let's come up with a warrant for that one. Why does that mean we should take a trip to Northern Europe?
Because it's a fun way to incorporate education with sightseeing, I guess.
Yeah, that's good. So yeah, it would be fun, but why is that a good thing to have in a trip? Or why should we pick our trip destination based on combining sightseeing with fun? Or combining sightseeing with education?
Because you actually take away something from the trip other than like, oh, that was cool. Like, you actually learn about a foreign culture.
Yeah. Maybe it makes the trip more memorable. Maybe it it adds an extra benefit to the trip that we are learning something and making ourselves better, and we're not just having fun, right? Yeah, really, really good. Awesome warrants. So, again, right, it's that connecting element, right? So Angelina had some great pieces of evidence, such as, clean food, lower crime rates, beautiful buildings, beautiful nature, right? So all of those are obviously good things, but remember, we're practicing for a debate, right? And the con team is going to stand up and say, well, Northern Europe is bad. Northern Europe is really expensive. It's really far. Like, we have to fly a really, really long distance. We have to adjust our sleep schedule. Some of them speak English, but a bunch of them don't speak English, so we're going to be lost a bunch of the time. I don't know. They are famous for having a lot of pickpockets or something, right? So like the con team is going to stand up and they're going to make all their arguments, right? And they're going to give their pieces of evidence. And if you have warrants, it's really easy to explain, yeah, but our stuff is super important. Like, we should be willing to fly a really long way on a plane if it means we learn something during our trip. Or we should be willing to fly a really long way if it means that we can feel safe on our vacation, right? So those extra warrants really help you once you start dealing with arguments that your opponents are bringing up, or once you start dealing with those rebuttals. Great. Let's hear one more.
Can I be next?
Yes.
Okay, so in my opinion, I think my family should take a trip to Mexico. And by the way, it is based on the premises that there is no COVID-19.
Right.
I believe Mexico is a perfect fit for my family, since considering that my family loves hiking and visiting nature sites. Visiting Mexico is a great opportunity to immerse in the natural beauty and be amazed by the spectacular national parks. And also, compared to other tropical tourist spots like Hawaii or Miami, it costs much less to travel in Mexico, about 60 US dollars a day, I guess, according to some travel blogs. So there is no need to worry about the financial barrier since it is very affordable. So therefore, these are the reasons why I think Mexico is a perfect destination for my family trip.
All right. Again, awesome pieces of evidence. So, you said you like hiking, you like nature sites, you want to get immersed in the natural beauty and the spectacular national parks. You like that it's cheap. And so for these reasons, you think Mexico would be perfect. So, what do you think I'm about to say?
Maybe there is some downsides of visiting Mexico.
Well, yeah, there might be some downsides. So, but to help us deal with those, what's the piece we're missing? We're missing warrants, right? So, you got a great example, which is, so let's take your financial barriers one. So, why does the fact that it is cheap mean that your family should go there?
Well, I think it is a perfect fit for my family since my family doesn't usually spend much on tourism or other things. So I think it is a great place for my family to start with since it is not that costly.
Yeah, right. So that's one way to phrase it, right? There are many reasons you could bring up for why money is an important part of travel, right? You could say expensive travel is really stressful because you're worried about money the whole time that you're there, so it's not enjoyable. Or you could say, I don't know, you could say that if you find a cheaper destination, you can spend money on other things that are nice, right? But you see what I'm getting at, which is there's a kind of connection then between, okay, so it's cheaper, why does that mean we should go there, right? Because again, the con might say something like, well, the fact that it's cheaper is actually bad because the reason it's cheaper is because everyone there is poor and the environment is not so safe and it's not so clean, so why should we go there? We should pick somewhere more expensive that's much nicer to spend time, right? Somebody might say that. And if you've already laid the groundwork by explaining why it's important to save money, then you won't have any trouble dealing with that argument. Does that make sense?
Yes, I understand.
Yeah. Nice. Really good. Okay, so let us take all right, so what we are going to do now is we are going to flip sides. So we just took the position of you all making your arguments for why we should travel. Now we're going to flip. We have to refute the arguments that you all just came up with. And I'm going to give you all a choice. You can either refute your own argument that you wrote, or you can refute one of the arguments that Brian, Angelina, and Yenhan just shared with the group. So I'm going to put those arguments into the chat so people can see them. see. Okay, there's the first two. And there's the third one. And so you all are now the parents. So again, we're flipping sides. You have to use all of Toulmin's model. So we need the claim, which in our case is the opposite, right? So for Angelina, right, her claim was our family should take a trip to Northern Europe. The claim of the parents would be we cannot take the trip to Northern Europe, right? Evidence. So again, we're looking for reasons or data that are based on research or based on what you come up with. And then we need warrants. Why does that evidence prove we cannot take the trip to wherever it is we want to go? So I'll give you a little bit of time to work on that. And again, you can refute your own trip, or you can refute Brian's, Angelina's, or Yenhan's.
I have a question of how to refute the argument before.
Yes.
So we should refute the arguments based on what we said, or just we can bring up another argument.
You can, you don't have to say the opposite of. So, for example, if you want to refute Angelina, you do not need to say actually there are high crime rates in Northern Europe. You just need to say our family cannot take the trip to Northern Europe because, and then provide your reasons.
So it could be other reasons.
It can be other reasons, yeah. You don't have to say the opposite of the original reasons.
Okay.
Good question.
I have a question.
Yes, go for it. Sorry.
Yeah. So in my previous argument, the way I structured it was I listed the claim and then I listed all of my evidence. I had three pieces of evidence, so I listed them and then I basically put all of my warrants in this big summary paragraph at the bottom. So then the way I noticed you guys doing it was you'd go evidence warrant. So is there a recommended way to approach this, or?
There's not a rule that works 100% of the time. It's going to depend on the specific case, but my rule of thumb would be evidence warrant. And the reason is that I think it just makes more sense to explain the significance of each piece of evidence as you're saying it instead of cycling back at the end, just because you're kind of dealing with each issue all at once. But again, there are times when it makes sense to do it the other way too. It just sort of depends on what flows better as you're reading it.
Yeah, okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Alright, give me a thumbs up for more time. And a clap for you're ready. More time mostly. York's just ready to.
Yeah, well, I only have like one set of claim. I only have one set of like evidence and warrant. So
Yeah, I would say the bar for this one is you should try to give a response that would satisfy you if your parents said it to you. So like if you went to your parents and gave them the first thing, you should try to come up with something that if your parents said it, you would be like, ugh, yeah, it sounds like they're right. It sounds like we can't go.
honestly, the one I have is like a bit of a deal breaker in any situation. So
Really?
I feel like it's enough. But yeah,
All right. Well, can't hurt to do one or two more.
yeah.
Couple more minutes. All right, give me a thumbs up if you need more time and a clap if you're ready to go. All right, we got some claps. All right. One of the clappers I haven't heard from before. Does somebody want to share their refutation to the kid's argument?
I want.
Alice, and then Cherry will go next.
Okay.
Oh.
Wait, Alice, you muted again.
Uh,
Yeah, there you go.
I would like to share. Yeah.
Okay.
We
Are you?
cannot take the
Wait, sorry. Are you refuting your own, or are you refuting?
for Mexico, the trip to
yeah.
Mexico.
Okay, great.
Yeah. We cannot take the trip to Mexico because the hygiene in Mexico isn't that good. There are still some epidemics such as dengue fever, malaria in Mexico. Avoid getting these. We shouldn't go to Mexico. And the second is the crime rate is high in Mexico, including crime like drug trafficking, robbery. If we take a trip to Mexico, what horrifying thing may happen more than wonderful memories? And though Mexico is a country that's full of charm, but instead of Mexico, I believe that there will be more country we can take a trip to. Our safety is the most important thing when we have fun. Yeah.
Awesome. That was fantastic. So you had two pieces of evidence for your claim, which was you had this argument about disease and you had an argument about crime. Then you actually snuck in a quick little response to some of the reasons why we should go to Mexico, which was that in other countries you can get some of the same benefits. Who caught what the warrant was? So what was the reason why disease and crime means we should not go to Mexico?
She said that safety is the most important thing when having fun.
Yes, exactly. So her warrant was that safety is really, really important. Safety should determine where we decide to go for a trip, right? So that's really good because if I am judging this debate and I have to decide like, who's right here? Is kid Yenhan right or is parent Alice right? You know? I need some way to decide which pieces of evidence are more important for the claim, right? And Alice is giving me a great reason, which is safety matters a lot when we're traveling and when we're having fun. Now, Yenhan earlier came up with another great warrant, which is, we need to care about how much money we're spending while we're traveling. So, if Yenhan gave a constructive, while Alice maybe was giving a rebuttal, then hopefully in some of the future speeches, there would be some back and forth where maybe Yenhan would say like, oh, well, money matters more than safety. It's like, it's worth it to save a little bit of money and it's worth the risk to get a couple of diseases and it's fine. Whereas Alice would say, hey, no, it's like, it's fine to pay extra money if that means that we won't get sick or if we won't get killed by a drug trafficker, right? There'll be some back and forth about that. Nice. Awesome job. Sherry, you wanted to go next.
I'm going to refute my own statement. So,
Awesome. Do you wanna catch us up on what your statement was?
my statement was to travel to France because there are many like artistic buildings and we can enjoy it, and also their study shows that if kids visit museums or something like those, they can show great improvement in their academic performance. So I'm going to refute this. So for my evidence is, even though crime rates in France is relatively low, theft is one of the highest crime categories to be aware of when taking a trip to France. And secondly, COVID is still striking all across France, so it's better not to take risks of visiting France and rather waiting patiently for the relaxation of travel restrictions will be a better choice. And last, it is very expensive for all the family members to take a trip to Europe from Asia. So there are many better places we can choose, and we can also have a great experience. So therefore, we cannot take a trip to France due to some safety concerns and other things like the high cost to travel to Europe. Yeah, that's it.
Nice, really, really good. So again, I think you're outlining some really good evidence. For a couple of these, it would help if you made your warrant slightly clearer. Although we've gone over this warrant a couple times, so like when you talked about COVID, you said it's better to wait to relax travel restrictions, but why, right? Why does COVID being in France mean we should wait for the relaxation of travel restrictions? It's the same answer we've talked about a bunch, which is that it's good to feel safe when you're traveling. It's bad for your trip experience to get sick. It's bad for your trip if you're stressed about getting sick, even if you don't actually get sick, right? We've talked about all these. So you could add all of those, and that would make your point stronger. I wanted to point out something really good that you did, which I believe Alice did also? Or wait, yeah, I think Alice did this too. Yeah. You said that there are other places where we can go and have a great experience. So this is something we will get into a little bit later, and it's actually beyond Toulmin's model a little bit, but I want to give you a sneak preview of something we will talk about later, which is this idea of offense and defense. So I've had some of you in my classes, so some of you should know what offense and defense is. Someone who was in one of my classes, can you help us out? Anyone? Offense and defense?
I remember that there are three parts that you can be offense and defense of.
Yeah, that's true. Well, let's take a step back and go even more basic. So what is offense and what is defense?
Like criticizing other people's argument or to protest about.
Yeah. That's defense, and then offense is. Yeah, you're on the right track. So offense and defense, like Alan was starting to describe, are kind of two different categories of arguments you can have. And what's great about Cherry's speech here was that she had both. Offense is a reason why your side is right. So we should not go to France because there is a crime risk. We should not go to France because we will get sick or we will be worried about how unsafe it is. That's offense. Those are reasons why your claim that we cannot take the trip to Europe or to France is kind of actively true. Defense is why your opponent's claim is not true. So a way to think about it is you have offense in your constructive and you have defense in your rebuttal usually. Another way to think of it as, I like to use a sports metaphor, right? So offense and defense in a basketball game. Offense is when you're shooting hoops on your opponent. Defense is when you're blocking them from shooting hoops against you, right? So saying that you can go to other places and get the benefits of France, so there are museums in other places too, that's an example of defense. So the original argument said we should go to France because there are museums there, and Cherry's responding to that argument. She's saying, well, we don't need to go to France to see museums. We can go to another country with less crime and less COVID, and where it's less expensive to travel, right? So that's an example of defense. She's cutting that connection. She's saying, no, France does not have special museums. That evidence is wrong. Or no, we should not pick France just because it has museums, because there are museums in other places too. So offense and defense are both present here, and they are both important to have around when we are using our arguments in debates. So that is very good. All right. Good work, everyone. We will reconvene in an hour in order to talk about line by line and the structure of arguments, and we will do some drills about that. Awesome work this morning. Enjoy your lunch, and I will see you all in a little bit.